Hey guys, so today I'm going to take you through our trip to the Great Sand Dunes National Park. And we came from Mesa Verde and we drove out and we drove all through the San Juan Mountains and we gained a bunch of elevation and we went up really high and the trees sort of thinned out and we came up upon a glacier, which was the first time that we really saw snow this whole trip. We passed about 10,000 feet elevation, so we went up, and then after that we just continued on and we came across one of the coolest waterfalls, in my opinion, that we saw this entire trip, called Treasure Falls. And we were just driving and we saw a bunch of cars on the side of the road stopped, and we decided to see why they were stopped, so we turned around, and it was a good call because there's just this very tall rushing waterfall. And we checked it out, and it was about a mile hike to go to the top and then a mile back, and we decided to do it, and we went right into the Colorado wilderness, tall Colorado trees and little bridges that you crossed over streams from the waterfall, and you continued up. And that waterfall had some crazy power to it. That thing had 100 feet of air and it was just pouring down. You got close to it and you got soaked, but it was totally worth it to get the view that you got from there and take some pictures. Just a massive drop to it and a lot of power. So I did this quick little hike wearing Crocs that I'd been wearing the whole car ride, and that was not the best idea because this was wet and slippery and steep, and I almost slipped a couple times, but we made our way down, and you see some little chipmunk squirrel things that are in basically every environment throughout the rest of the country. And then we were on our way. You see some downfall from the glaciers up there, and it was really an awesome sight to drive through. Like I said, about 10,000 feet elevation, and we came upon this glacier where we got out and stopped and took pictures, and we walked over to it, and it was pretty thin and there was just all water under it. And we saw, as we were leaving, an older kind of couple, maybe in their 40s, walk over to it to take some pictures. And I thought about mentioning to the guy not to walk on it, but I figured, he'd know. But we watched that guy confidently walk onto it and fall down to like his knees into the water. So that's kind of funny. But we were on our way and we kept going to the Great Sand Dunes, which was, like I said, about 4 hours from Mesa Verde. So we just drove on, and the scenery changed a little bit. After a while, it felt like long stretches of back roads, and we drove along them for a very long time. We saw dead elk. I have no idea how that thing died, but you don't really see that all too much in Florida. And you drive along, and you start to come across the Great Sand Dunes, which look totally out of place. It's just all this sand at the base of a mountain, and you see little black dots on them that look like trees or plants, and you think, no way, those could be people because they're so small. But these sand dunes are just so tall, and people look like ants on them. They're way taller than they look. So you walk over and you had to cross this little stream, and this thing was cold. 30, 40 degrees, I don't know, cold. And we made our way across. It was kind of like a rite of passage. And you got there and then you just marched along. And we went up and up for what felt like the longest time. And Billy heroically ran back and grabbed 2 sleds that were just laying around somewhere and ran all the way back, so that took him a very long time, but we just pushed up and up, and it got later into the day, and it's really a crazy place to be. I would have never imagined something like this being in Colorado. These are the tallest sand dunes in America. So they don't go on as far as white sand does, but these are way taller. These things go up really, really high. And we went later in the day and it was cloudy, which was nice because it was cool and it was very windy, but this probably would have not been a good place to be in the middle of the day when it was very hot. So it was nice to go later in the day, and we just marched up and along, and it was really, really cool. The sun was going down. We kind of got a sunset, and we slid down on the sleds, and I got some nice speed going down there. Definitely felt faster than it looks, and it was a lot of fun. Definitely more fun going down than it was going up, but gotta do what you gotta do. And we made our way up, and we did not go to the top of the biggest sand dunes, but we did go pretty far, and we had a good time. We just had fun and enjoyed ourselves, and it was very, very windy. I decided to roll down this one, and I had a great time, and I got sand in everything: my hair, my ears, my clothes, everything, all over the car, somehow in everything for the next month. Brought it all around the country with me. Probably could still find some if I looked for it, but we really had an awesome time at the Great Sand Dunes. I never would have imagined a place like this being in Colorado, but it's there, and you should totally check it out if you have the chance, because it's pretty unique. And we drove about 2 hours into the drive to get to Garden of the Gods the next day, and we slept in a Bass Pro parking lot, still about an hour from Garden of the Gods. And you can just sleep in Bass Pro parking lots. They're free. There's a lot of people that do it. It really wasn't as bad as we would have expected, but we drove the remaining hour and we got closer to Garden of the Gods, and we had a pretty crazy trip after that. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed.